Imagine we're burning up in the heat, but paying for other people's AC. JPS has admitted that it charges paying customers for electricity that other people thief, but it doesn't show on our bills. And worse, I recently did a Twitter poll asking if your light bill has gone up. More than half of you said your bill is up by more than 50% since COVID. I'm Kalila Reynolds, and it's time for another episode of Money Mondays JA, brought to you in partnership with Proven Wealth. Today, I'm going to teach you how to read your light bill. Now, before we get started, make sure to hit that like button. I'll give you some time. Subscribe to this channel and turn on those post notifications. When you're done watching this video, share with a friend. I also have a t-shirt giveaway coming up, and I'll be announcing the winner of last week's giveaway. Plus, you now have a chance to win a $10,000 gift certificate to invest in stocks of your choice at a broker of your choice. All you have to do is post a video on your social media explaining how Money Mondays JA or Taking Stock has made a difference to you. Tag at Kalila Ray and at Taking Stock JA in the video, and the winner will be announced in next week's episode of Taking Stock. You might also see yourself on that episode. All right, so let's get to it. When it comes to our light bills, most of us just read the due date and the total amount due, make our payments, and move on. That's because all those big numbers can be intimidating, and most of us don't understand what they mean. In this episode, I'm going to break down 3 things that you should pay close attention to. 1, look at the part of your light bill that details your current usage. It will tell you how many kilowatt hours, kWh, you've used for the month. Now, before we go any further, let's quickly talk about what a kilowatt is. A watt is a common unit of measure for electrical power. Every appliance uses watts, from your light bulb to your fridge. Kilo means 1,000, so a kilowatt is simply 1,000 watts. Energy, which is what JPS charges you for, is measured in kilowatts per hour, also called kilowatt hours, kWh. kWh is 1,000 watts used in an hour. The energy usage on your light bill is calculated by how much power is used over a period of time, which is usually a month. Think about it like this. If you're driving a car, think of your speed or rate of travel when you look at the speedometer as your power or rate of energy consumption when you look at your light bill. But looking at the speedometer doesn't show you how far you actually traveled. For that, you need to look at the speed over the time you've been traveling. In the case of your light bill, the distance the car has traveled is the same as the energy used. Now, to understand how much energy has been used, you need to look back at how long you've been consuming a specific amount of power. Energy is power used over a period of time. So now that we understand kilowatt hours, let's move on to breaking down the bill. When you look at your monthly bill, you'll notice that in the slot that says current usage, there's something called energy first and energy next. This JPS customer has used 195.85 kilowatt hours for the month. How do we know the exact number for the current usage? Well, in this section of the bill, we see current reading and previous reading. To know how much electricity was used for the month, the JPS meter reader subtracts this month's reading from last month's reading. So why is it split up on the bill? Well, Energy First is the first 100 kilowatt hours used for the month. It's charged at a standard lower rate. Energy Next is the remaining energy usage for the month. It's charged at a higher rate. To turn energy usage into dollar signs, just multiply the kilowatt hours from Energy First and Energy Next by their respective rates. Now, this customer would multiply the first 100 kilowatt hours by $9.66 to get $966. That's their Energy First calculation. Then they would multiply the remaining 95.8 kilowatt hours by $22.49 to get $2,155.67. Notice that the rate for energy next is more than double the rate for your first 100 kilowatts. So it's ideal to try to keep your usage below or as close to 100 kilowatt hours if possible. I know that's hard, especially in this heat. So you might all be wondering, this JPS customer used 195 kilowatt hours, which translates to a little over $3,000. So why is their total amount due almost $8,500? Where did this extra $5,000 come from? Well, let's talk about taxes in our second point. Now take a look at the image on the screen. In the segment right below current usage, we see some big numbers. Let's break them down one at a time. The first item is cost charge. This stands for customer charge. This is a fixed monthly charge. It's the basic fee for your electricity service, and it doesn't change regardless of how much electricity you use. The subtotal is the addition of the energy usage that I told you about earlier and the customer charge. Next, we have FE adjust, which stands for foreign exchange adjustment. This is the percentage change in the rate of the Jamaican dollar to the US dollar at the time of your bill. Any movement in the dollar is reflected on your bill in this line. Next, fuel and IPP charge. This is an addition of two things. Fuel charge covers the cost of the fuel required to produce and deliver each kilowatt hour of electricity, plus IPP charge, which is the cost of the power that JPS buys from independent power producers, IPPs. The fuel and IPP charge will change each month depending on how much JPS has to pay for the fuel it buys. Now take it back to point 1. Remember when we calculated the amount of money from electricity usage by multiplying the kilowatt hours by the energy first and energy next rates? Well, the concept is the same for fuel and IPP charge. We take the amount of electricity used by this JPS customer and multiply it by the fuel and IPP rate to get the fuel and IPP charge. When you add the subtotal, foreign exchange adjustment, and fuel and IPP charge, you will see the current electricity charge. This is the number before taxes. Now, don't get intimidated. It's important to note that not all of these aspects of the bill will incur taxes. That's why this next segment is broken down into the non-taxable charges and the taxable charges. I know it's a lot, right? Of all the numbers we discussed in point 2, GCT will be calculated from only the taxable charges, which is $2,092.08 on this bill. The GCT of the taxable charges was 16.5% on this bill, which is $345.19. But this is actually an old bill. Remember, GCT was recently lowered to 15%. To get the total current charges, we add the non-taxable charges, the taxable charges, and the GCT. That number is $8,396.85. Now, this particular customer paid an extra $20.47 on their last bill, and that's taken away from their total current charges. So this JPS customer now owes $8,376.38. The amount to be paid is shown in the black line at the bottom and the little gray box at the top. Now, JPS has fallen into hot water with some of its customers since the onset of COVID-19 in mid-March. Thousands of Jamaicans were self-quarantined, working from home. For families with children, the meters have been busier than ever as they engage in online classes. They're in and out of the fridge, guilty, and using more fan, more AC, and all that stuff. In addition, JPS recently disclosed in a tweet that 26% of energy generated is lost, mostly due to theft. And this loss is shared by JPS and customers, with about 20% of that loss going to customers and JPS absorbing the rest. Now, this means that the average JPS customer, like you and me, is paying for at least 1/5 of the light that is bridged. So imagine we burn up in heat to keep our light bill down, but paying for somebody else's AC and flat screen. Ugh. But the reason JPS says this charge doesn't show up on your bill is that it's actually factored into the rates set by the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR. Energy Minister Favour Williams has urged JPS to include it as a line item on your monthly bill, just like how you can see how much taxes you pay, how much for fuel, how much for the independent power producers. Don't you want to know how much you're paying each month for the thieves too? Well, in response to angry customers, JPS said in May that it made a proposal to the government that would significantly reduce the cost of electricity to customers, most of whom were at home for longer hours as part of the COVID-19 containment measures. JPS wanted the government to suspend GCT and also the special consumption tax SCT on fuel. I doubt that's going to happen though. Both the finance and the energy ministers have pretty much said as much. Now, JPS says it's recorded a 28% increase in queries from customers about their bills, but they say the depreciation of the Jamaican dollar, rising usage, and fuel costs were among the major reasons for higher bills. Director of Communication and Customer Experience for JPS, Winsome Callum, said residential usage spiked by 11% between March and April and continued that trend in May. Now, this brings us to the third part of our bill breakdown, energy trend usage. If you look to the left side of your bill, you'll see a graph. It shows you how much power you use every month. Remember point 1, where we compared energy to the distance a car drives. The energy consumed is the amount of power you used over a period of time. This customer used less power this month than last month. He can look back at his old bills to see if his usage was more or less. So what did he do differently this month to bring down his bill? Well, Money Mondays JA is here to offer some simple energy saving tips. Switch out your light bulbs. Some of us are still using 100-watt light bulbs. They burn more energy and help to rack up a hefty bill. Go to your local supermarket or hardware store and ask for a lower wattage light bulb, maybe a 15-watt or 20-watt. They burn just as brightly and use less energy. My light bill literally went down by about 30% after I switched out all my bulbs. I'm not kidding you. It's gonna cost you in the beginning because the bulbs are more expensive, but they last longer and it's worth it for the savings on your bill. Over time, they pay for themselves. Next thing, switch off and plug out appliances. Most of us are back in the workplace now, so before you leave home, double check to make sure all unnecessary appliances are plugged out, like the microwave, the fan, the phone charger. For those of us with water heaters, switch it on about 15 to 30 minutes before you start your shower and switch it off as soon as you're done. So the water done hot. It doesn't need to stay that way when you're not using it. Be efficient with your fridge. This is something that has to be on all day and all night. So try to keep your fridge and freezer at their ideal temperature. For your fridge, this is between 2 degrees and 3 degrees Celsius, and your freezer should be at minus 18 degrees Celsius. Now this month, the JPS customer in our example used over 195 kilowatts of energy. Maybe if they use some of these energy saving tips, they can consume less than 100 kilowatt hours next month and stay within the energy first, lower and more affordable rates. Kind of tough to do, but it's doable. Some people do it. I know that turning into an expert on electricity usage won't happen overnight. Try to focus on the 3 important parts of the bill. 1, the difference between energy first and energy next. 2, the additional charges added to the bill, including the foreign exchange adjustments, fuel and IPP charges, and GCT. And 3, your energy trend from meter readings each month can be lowered once you implement some energy saving methods. Just understanding these terms and how they affect your light bill will impact the way you use appliances. And that's one step closer to managing your electricity usage in the home or office. Coming up on Taking Stock.
Edufocal and QuickPlate are both ditching the office for good. After months of working from home, Edufocal CEO Gordon Swaby and QuickPlate CEO Monique Powell have both decided they don't need a physical office after all. We'll discuss. And later, the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is now ranked among the 10 worst performing markets in the world, a complete 180 from last year's chart-topping performance. And NCB Financial Group hit a 52-week low last week. We'll discuss.
Well, that's it for this episode of Money Mondays JA, brought to you in partnership with Proven Wealth. Follow them on social media at We Are Proven, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Kalila Ray. Congratulations to last week's winner, Jermaine McDonald. Yay! Please contact admin at KalilaRayMedia.com to claim your prize if you haven't already done so. Time now for this week's giveaway. Ready? What's the difference between energy first and energy next on your light bill? Answer in the comments on YouTube and you can win one of my exclusive Let's Get This Money t-shirts. The winner will be announced in next week's episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter at KalilaRay.com. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Stay safe.